Welcome back to another edition of Components Breakdown. Today we're going to look at the newly released game called Lords of Vegas by Mayfair Games. Lords of Vegas is a 2 to 4 player game that takes about 60 to 75 minutes to complete. It is a area control / area influence game that has some light dice rolling in it. And it takes place during the 1950s along the Las Vegas Strip, in which you and your opponents each try to control the largest and biggest casinos in the area, with the person that has the most victory points at the end winning the game. This is a really excellent game, and the first time I saw it at Gen Con 2010, I thought it looked a lot like Kingsburg, and it's actually not. It's got some really nice play mechanics in it. It's got some cool trading abilities in the game. So with that, let's first open up the game, see the components inside, and then we'll walk you through some basic gameplay. So having played this game about a half dozen times this past weekend, I was really excited to get home today and start filming this components breakdown. But what I'm going to do today is actually spend less time on the components and a little more time on the gameplay. Because what we found is in playing this game, you actually have fun even if you're losing, which is a really rare instance in a game like this. It's a fun game, it's a really exciting game to play. So with that, let's first look at all the components, and then we'll go into the gameplay and show you how the game sets up and see if it's something you might be interested in. So looking at the box, first thing you're going to notice is a 4-page rulebook. Very easy to read. I understood it on my first read through, and we started playing within about 30-45 minutes. The next thing you're going to notice is the game board, and we'll get into more detail on the game board when we start explaining the gameplay mechanics. The one thing I wanted to point out about the insert is that it's not made for this game, and I'm not sure where they got this insert from, but as you can see, nothing really fits into designated spots, so I've had to adjust the way I've put the game back in. Now, what you'll see in here are some cards, and I have sleeved all the cards, and they actually do fit in this large compartment here, and they will shift. There are 4 baggies in here, and in each of the baggies you're going to get 12 dice. You're going to get 10 of these player markers, which are clear see-through, and then you're going to get 1 scoring token, which looks like a kind of a generic poker chip. And of course, there's 4 baggies for all different of the 4 colors. And the other thing you're going to see in here is paper money. Now, some people may or may not like this, but I don't really have a problem with it. I think it would have been a lot nicer if they had done some poker chips, of course. But this works, and I have, like I said, there's no problems. And they have some famous people in here. Elvis, as you see, is the $10 million money denomination. And then they have all of the casino tiles. Now, the casino tiles come in 5 different colors, and there's 9 of each. And these casino tiles are very thick cardboard, and there is a hole that you'll have to punch out on each of them where the die will sit in for each of the different areas. Now, they also ship some markers for each of the colors that are just blank on the front side. I imagine those are to organize them. And all these casino chips actually do fit in this compartment here. They're a little bit loose on one set of them, of the 9, but the other 4 sets fit in fine. So with that, let's actually set up a 3-player game and show everybody the basic gameplay mechanics. So now we have all the components laid out on the table. What I'm going to do first is walk you through the components one more time to give you a basic idea of everything included in the game. That way, when we start explaining the game, you can hopefully mesh 2 and 2 together so you understand the gameplay mechanics a little bit better. So the first thing, and the most important thing in the game, are the cards themselves. Now, here's one of the random cards. On the back side is simply a picture of the Las Vegas Strip. And on the front side shows you one of 5 different colors. Now, there's 5 different kinds of casinos in the game, and they're all represented by specific colored casino tiles. So for instance, this gold one, or yellow, will match this one. So there are actually 9 different cards for each of the 9 different casino tiles. And each of these casino tile, or each of these cards, have a number on here, such as this one says F3. So you look at the board and you see all the different numbers everywhere. What this is telling you is that each card represents one of the 9 different casino tiles and also represents one of the locations on the board. Therefore, there is only one card in the entire deck for every single location in the game. That plays an important part because of one of the game mechanics called sprawling, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But just so you know, within the game there are 9 different gold cards, and they each represent a different location. The same thing with purple, green, brown, and silver, which represent all the different ones. Now there's other cards in here. There's 3 pay out the strip cards, and the strip simply refers to all of the casinos that are touching the Las Vegas Strip that runs down the center. And the last card is the game over card. And when this is drawn, it simply ends the game and you pay the strip. Now, this card is inserted about 1/4 of the way down through the entire deck. So that means that about 1/4 of the cards aren't going to be used every game, which throws some of the random luck into the game, which I tend to really like for this style game. You're also going to notice a card that gives you a description of all the different options in the game and all the different actions, such as build, sprawl, remodel, reorganize, and gamble. Now, players can do any number of these actions on their turn for as much money as they have. So they can build twice, they can sprawl as many times. The only thing they can't do is gamble. Now, gambling means you can only gamble on one person's casino once per your entire turn. The other things, as I mentioned, it comes with 12 dice for each player, 10 of these lot markers, which are simply placed on specific lots, signifying that you own that location. There is a house card which can be passed around to the player with whomever you are gambling with, which shows you the odds of what you need to roll to be able to collect money from them. There's all the cash, which I mentioned earlier. There is a player card, which simply passes around to whomever's player it is. Now, once you play the game a couple times, that's completely unnecessary. And the basic board itself. So let's start looking at the board now. The board, as I mentioned, has several different lots, and we'll zoom in here. For instance, the A lot consists of 6 different areas, whereas the C lot consists of 9 different areas. Now, each of these areas has a dice in there, signifying that when you build on that location, that's the die that you turn it to. So if I build on the C6 location, I would turn it to the number 4. The money value down there is how much that lot costs. So as you can see, most of the lots on the strip have the higher number dice and cost more than the ones on the outside of the strip. And that plays an important part because when you get paid out for the casinos you own, you want to try to own the ones with the larger dice numbers. Around the board, you're going to see, on the right-hand side, a place for all the different cards that are being played. As I mentioned, there are 5 different colors in the game. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors, and then the strip cards. When you play a card, you simply place it over here. The more cards you have, it's basically, the more cards you have, the lesser your odds of drawing those cards, which is a visual cue for everybody to see what the odds are of a specific card being drawn. Down here is the 0 marker, and also has another area for the gambling. And then the most interesting part of the board is the scoring mechanism in the game, and it goes 1 through 90. And what you're going to be doing in the game is, you would think it's a game about collecting the most money, but it's actually about having the largest casinos. And when casinos score points, you get points on the scoring track. And it gets very interesting when you get to these areas, which are breaks. So you have to have a 2-part casino in order to jump here. And as you see, as you go further and further up the board, they require larger and larger casinos to score, with the last one being a 9. So you would have to have a fully contiguous casino of all one color. For instance, you'd have to have all the C's as silver or gray, or silver or green, or whatever color, all being owned by you to be able to jump to that last spot. It's extremely difficult, and in the 6 or so games that I played, the highest we've ever got to is the 36 marker right there, which is a 4 jump, and that's with a 4-player game. So with that, let's actually start looking at setting up the game and show you how the gameplay works. So now we're set up to play a 3-player game. First thing that happens is one of the players is going to shuffle all the cards in the game and place them into a pile. And he's going to take the game over strip card and place it 1/4 of the way down in. So when this card is drawn, it pays out the strip and then the game ends immediately. And then each player from the top of the deck gets 2 cards. For instance, green drew an F3 and a D7 lot. So they simply take their area markers and place them on those areas. And I've already done that. I put a green marker on F3 and a green marker on D7. That simply states that that character owns that lot, and anytime a card is drawn, it'll pay him money to those lots. And that goes around the board for every character, and everybody will be placing onto the board. So when the game starts, everyone's going to own 2 lots. They'll also get money according to those cards, and this is the only time they'll collect the money denominations off these. So this player started with $11 million, this player started with $14 million, and the last player started with $16 million. And it's really not that big of a difference, so don't worry that some people are going to be starting off with different things. The game starts to balance itself out as you start to explore some of the nuances of the game. The next thing that happens is that every player then takes their card and lays them in the appropriate slot. So purple with purple, gold with gold, and I'm going to go around the board and do this to show why this is done. And the last 2 are Sphinx and Tivoli. Sorry for the camera angles there. But now you see as the game starts that the silver has 1 card, the gold has 3, and the purple has 2. That means that 3 of the 9 gold cards have already been placed on the board, meaning that building gold casinos is going to have a much smaller payout when they actually show up than the green ones, because 9 cards are still available in the deck. That plays an important part when we actually start building the casinos. And what I'm going to do now is stop the video and then go into like the 3rd or 4th play of the game and show you how the game plays out. So we're about 4 or 5 turns into the game now, and we're going to show you how a typical player's turn plays out. It is the blue player's turn, and he does 2 things. 1 is he draws a card, and 2, he plays whatever actions he wishes to place. So the first thing he does is draw the card, and he plays one of his blue markers on the B4 lot, which I've already done there. Now, every time a card is drawn, it pays out $1 million for every lot that is owned. Now, mind you, lots are unoccupied spaces that just have a marker. They're not casinos. So green owns 1, yellow owns 1, and blue owns 3 lots. So blue gets 3 million, yellow gets 1 million, and green gets 1 million. The next thing that happens is the casinos pay out money and points. So whoever owns purple casinos gets money and points. So let's pay out money first. And the money you get is originated by the number of pips you have. So yellow gets 5 million, green gets 4 million, and blue gets 7 million. And that's simply by adding the number of pips on your purple areas that you own. Now the points pay out differently. Whoever owns the casino gets the points. So on this one, the casino boss is the 5 because he has the highest number. So he gets 2 points because he has a 2-point casino. And he simply moved the yellow marker 2 spaces. And the green has a 3-point casino, so he moves 3 spaces. Now mind you, one more time, this is not a game about money, it's a game about points. So you want to own the largest casinos. Once this is done, this card goes over here and shows you that 3 of the 9 purple cards have been played. And now the blue player is allowed to do any of the actions. He can build casinos on lots that he owns for that amount of money. He can sprawl. Sprawling is simply buying a location that's not owned by somebody and paying twice the amount of money. So you could put your 2 dice here with a purple lot for $12 million. Now the trick here is if someone draws the F6 card, which obviously has not been drawn yet, they get to replace your dice for free. So that means they have a free casino. There is remodeling, which allows you to change the color of your casino. This is good when your casino has fewer cards to draw from. Reorganizing allows you to try to reorganize a casino in your favor. So this green player could pay $9 million for the number of pips to roll both of these dice and see if he has the higher number on his to now be the casino boss. And gambling. Now the great thing about here, which I didn't mention, is trading. Trading can be done at any time on any player's turn, no matter what. Now you can trade markers for markers, you can trade dice for dice, dice for money, markers for lots, whatever you want to do. The only thing you can't trade is casino tiles and actions, which really opens up the game and is one of the shining things in this game that really helps the gameplay. So what do I think about it? I think this game is wonderful. I am really excited. that I've had a chance to play this several times now, and it's really high up on my list. It's a really fun area control game. The dice really don't play any kind of factor other than gambling, so it's mitigated to just really rolling your dice to remodel and buying the right lots at the right time. This is an excellent game, and I would suggest it to new gamers and experienced gamers alike. So that is Lords of Vegas, and thank you again for watching.